All right. Hello, everyone. Hi. It's wonderful to see so many of you. I'm really glad that you were able to join us. We are recording this webinar, so just letting you know that we'll be sharing this to our website after it's done, but wanted to use this opportunity to share with you some updates about our summer protocols and our plans now that health conditions are changing. Obviously, things continue to change rapidly, basically every day, but we're excited to be able to sort of share the updates with you because we think that the summer we have planned will feel in many ways a lot more normal for students, and that we can do so in a safe and responsible manner that will ensure that all of your students come to Andover and have a really great experience and don't worry all the time about transmission and getting sick. And so we wanted to talk to you today. I have my colleague, Dr. Amy Patel here, and I'll be sort of bouncing back and forth with her. But just to start, there's sort of this question about why did we shift? And I think the answer is that we do have a lot of data. We have a lot of information now about how sort of our prevention and sort of Swiss cheese measures that Dr. Patel will talk about, how they worked here on our campus. We have sort of a lot of local transmission data here in Massachusetts. And we also have information about our summer faculty and student vaccination rates. And actually things are really positive. Our faculty, we have about 105 summer faculty and 97% of them report having received the full vaccination cycle. And so putting that adult community, which is typically a little bit more at risk, making sure that that community is safe. And then within our student body, I believe the numbers are climbing, but we still have probably about, what did you say, Amy, 160 or so?
There's over 200 at this point that have received one or more doses, but that means there are 300 responses that we're waiting on.
Yeah. So there's still more to hear, and we know that there are some students who are going to be too young to receive the vaccine, but overwhelmingly what we're hearing are, students are getting a dose, getting a couple, or are interested in receiving a dose at registration, because we are able to partner with a pharmacy to offer the vaccine at registration. So for all of these reasons, we felt really comfortable making some changes to the very restrictive protocols that we had published earlier. So back in February, we had published to many of you that we planned on a 10-day in-dorm quarantine. And I know that was daunting to a lot of people. It was daunting to me to think about. And, along with that came a lot of other risk management processes that we plan to put in place. And we're confident that we can remove some of those. And so, Amy, I don't know if you have other things you want to say about why we're shifting our protocols before we go into how things look at this point.
Just to piggyback on what you said, we have had an in-person learning environment for the majority of our year on campus, from September until our commencement just this past weekend. And through over 67,000 tests that we administered, we saw a positivity rate that was so low, lower than local contacts, lower than even other schools. And so we feel really confident that, these layered risk mitigation strategies can be peeled back slowly. And we actually just did that during the spring term. We started with a full quarantine in dorm in our spring term in March. And by graduation, we were able to go mask optional, distance optional in a number of settings because we were starting to really see the numbers dropping, as well as having great confidence in a number of things, including outdoor spaces, and the vaccine rates have been climbing.
Great. So with that, I think the sort of question is, we do plan to put into place what we're calling a modified quarantine. And because we know that students are traveling from all over the world, we know that there are differing rates of vaccination, differing transmission rates in their home geographies. And so as such, we do want to put into place what we're calling modified quarantine, which does include universal masking. So students will be asked to mask anytime they are outside of their own dorm room. So that means, down the hall to the bathroom. That means walking in the common room of the dorm. That means anytime they're outside, That means when they're in classrooms, that means in athletic facilities. But what's nice is that they can be in all of those spaces. So even though masking is required, they can still be out and about. And so that's an important shift for us. It also includes in-person learning. And so that means that starting right away, students will be in classes with their teachers in the classroom, having that interaction. It'll be masked and distant during that time, but that's a really important change because we had initially anticipated 10 days of virtual learning. So now that's not happening. Right away, kids are going into their classes in person. So that change, I think, is another important one to note. We also will be doing meal pickup at Pereski Commons. So instead of, I know many of you responded to that survey that asked you what your meal choices were for delivery to the dorm. And it was pretty limited, right? You had sort of 2 options per meal, not always the favorites. But now we're able to offer and open up our entire dining facility. Students still will not eat inside. So students will still go through the line, pick up the meals of their choice, and customize it. So again, lots more options, but then take it to eat outdoors in one of our dining tents. In inclement weather, we have options for day students so that they can eat indoors, and boarding students can take their food back to their dorm. So there are plenty of opportunities, but now we actually have, so you can sort of pick out your salad and pick out your stir fry and pick out your pizza as opposed to just getting whatever's in the box. We will have a closed campus. That means that students during modified quarantine are not allowed to leave the campus bounds, not even to walk into downtown Andover. And I want to be really clear that that is a limitation that's different from a normal summer. However, if we can successfully navigate through the modified quarantine time, which we expect to last, maybe a week to 10 days, depending on how our testing data is coming back, at that point, we'll be able to open up campus. And then if we can open up campus, students can, walk down the hill and go to Starbucks or grab a burger. They can go to CVS and pick up some of the things they might need. At that point, if we can open campus, we can also offer field trips to outdoor destinations. We can allow visitors to come, so families who might be in the area can come to campus and meet their child and take them out for a meal during their free time. All of those things can happen if we can open things up. But for the first 7 to 10 days, we do anticipate a closed campus staying on the campus grounds. And then our very last sort of piece about modified quarantine is that we are offering that vaccine at registration. It's incredibly important to our plan to get as many students vaccinated as possible. And so if you haven't already been contacted by the Sykes Wellness Center, somebody will be reaching out to you to assess your interest in signing up for that vaccine. They'll send along the release form and paperwork that we need to provide to the vendor. And then we'll be able to offer dose number 2 on July 20th. And so for some students who may be arriving with their first dose and then want to get their second dose on campus with us, we can facilitate that. So it's a real opportunity for us to sort of support public health more broadly by offering the vaccine. Dr. Patel, anything to add?
Yeah, and expect to get more information Monday. So I'm waiting just on some more responses, and then you'll only get information if you have not received both doses of a 2-dose vaccine series. So if you've received one, you'll get information seeing if you want to get your second one on campus. And then if you haven't received anything, or if we don't have any information on if you've received anything, we're going to just reach out. We'll give you a link to a consent form and some more instructions in terms of scheduling that time. So expect to get that next week.
Great. And so the big changes that we wanted to make sure that you were clear on from our original sort of the emails that we sent out in February and March, the original set of protocols. So one big change is that students who have uploaded evidence of a vaccination, just 1 dose, don't need to provide evidence of a negative test prior to arrival at registration. So previously, we had asked all students to provide evidence of that negative test within 5 days of arrival. Now, if you've gotten the vaccine, you don't have to go out and get tested before you come. So that's one big change. Another one is that we are not requiring students to complete a daily symptom screening tracker. We will be sending out daily reminders and prompts, and we will have posters everywhere reminding students that if they're not feeling well, if they're experiencing any symptoms, to stay home, or stay in their dorm room and contact the wellness center. But students don't have to wake up every morning and fill out that tracker, which I think is a nice and sort of freeing. It's one less thing to think about in their busy lives. During open campus, so assuming we are able to move to open campus, off-campus field trips to a majority outdoor destination will be allowed. So previously we had said no field trips, and that was a huge, painful decision because field trips are essential to our program, both academic field trips and fun trips. We take students all over the community. We take them to Boston, we take them to Newburyport, we take them to the beach. Now we can do those things if we can open campus. So we will still plan to offer on-campus fun for students. So we will bring lots of activities, from laser tag to the sort of just dance competitions to the hypnotists and the circus. They're all coming. But we will also offer the opportunity, assuming campus is open, that students can go to different destinations on weekends, Saturdays and Sundays. Lower school institute students, they'll be able to go to academic field trips. And so this is a real win for us. We're really excited about that. I think the last big thing that we should note that is a change is that once we open up campus, the mask outdoor spaces and likely outdoor spaces will assess based on the data, but we anticipate that outdoor spaces and dorm pods will become mask optional, meaning that students can unmask in their dorms and hang out in the common room with friends without feeling like they have to be distant. They can go into one another's rooms. They can potentially be outdoors on our campus unmasked, as long as transmission remains low. And we still continue to see that the state of Massachusetts has removed the mask mandate. And so that was a really major turning point for us, and something that, again, as Dr. Patel said, on commencement weekend, we were able to go mask optional. So these are the big 4 changes. Dr. Patel, I don't know if you have anything to add here. Awesome, great. And so I think the thing to think about with what hasn't changed, we are still planning to test all students. We're still planning to eat outdoors. We are still planning to require indoor masking. So, in classes, we do still anticipate that students will be asked to mask. And we do still have a full contact tracing team in place for the summer who will be working with us on any contact tracing protocols. And we will continue the expectation that if a student tests positive, that there's a family member or emergency contact, someone who can come to care for the child if they do, in fact, test positive for COVID. So these things are all staying the same, and we think it's important to highlight that. And then just another question we often get is, how are you going to monitor safety? If we are becoming a little bit more permissive, how are we going to ensure that students are safe and healthy? Well, we're going to continue our contact tracing and our testing. We will, as we sort of noted, we will test all students upon arrival at registration. So you received your email with a prompt to sign up for an arrival time. Upon arrival at your scheduled 10-minute time slot, you will sign up to be tested by a Sykes Wellness Center representative. They'll show you how to do the swab or whichever version of the test we have at that point. You'll do that and we'll get a rapid result back. So immediately upon entrance, you'll be tested. We'll test all students again 3 days after arrival. So on Thursday, so I guess that's 2 days later. So Thursday, July 1st, and then we'll test them again on Monday, July 5th. So we'll have 3 tests within the span of a week to ensure that we aren't seeing any transmission in that first arrival period. After that first week, students will be able to sort of be tested only once a week, unless we see elevated transmission data, in which case we would go back to our campus standard of 2 times per week. So we will still see that taking place. Like I said, we'll do the daily reminder emails to students to, not go anywhere if they have a cough or a sniffle. And we will also really be anchoring in the data. Dr. Patel has been amazing leading our community in decision-making that's anchored in the sort of local and campus data to determine what we can change. And so we'll keep an eye on that. Dr. Patel or Dr. Alcorn, who is our medical director this summer, will be continuing a practice of sending campus health updates each week so that we have an understanding of where we stand as a community. Dr. Patel, anything to add about how we'll keep our community safe?
You covered it.
Great. So, question, what's life going to be like? It's going to be mostly normal. This is a picture from our spring commencement weekend. The class of 2021 just commenced and received their diplomas, and it was a remarkably normal feeling weekend. Students and their families could be together in a really comfortable environment, and we hope to extend that feeling to our summer. So classes and activities starting in person right away, no virtual learning. Student orientation will take place in person in dorm groups as opposed to the elaborate Zoom schedule that we had created, which it's so much better when students actually get to walk around the campus in their dorm groups and talk to the different departments and see the different parts of campus. And students will have a ton of freedom. So students from the very get-go will be free to move about campus, to use all of our facilities without having to pre-register. So students will have to sign in if they're using the fitness center or the squash courts or, a specific carrel in the library, but they can come and go as they please. They don't have to pre-plan in the way that we had feared they would. So we do anticipate that this will be, while not a completely normal summer, sort of as close as we can get in this moment in time. So we're just really excited. And so, with that, I just wanted to open it up for questions. And so I think probably, the best thing to do if you have a question is to use the raise hand feature. And I'm going to stop sharing so I can see more people, but use the raise hand feature and we will try to get to you. So let's start with Beryl.
Hi, yeah, one question regarding family visit. So I'm just wondering, if visit is allowed, what is the possible and most probably arrangement? Thank you.
So I can start and Dr. Patel, you can finish, but what we anticipate is if we are able to allow visitors, meaning we're able to open our campus, students can meet their visitors outdoors, not go indoors with them. So no visitors will be allowed in the dorms themselves or in any of our building spaces, but that students can meet their families outdoors, as well as join them in downtown Andover during their free time. So they can go have a meal sitting outdoors at Bertucci's, or they can go get a cup of coffee together at Starbucks. We will not, though, allow either students to leave on what we call day or overnight excuses. So students will need to see their visitors during their scheduled free times, but they may not sort of leave the Andover bounds where they normally would be able to walk to. So you can't get in a car and go somewhere with your family. You have to stick around the area. I hope that answers things.
Yes, it does. And so it can be like either a weeknight or over the weekends, right? And we will get advance notification, like maybe after 10 days or during the first 10 days, right?
Yep, we will notify you as soon as we move. We'll notify the full community as soon as we move to an open campus. And then visitors would be allowed during the periods of time on a student's schedule that are denoted as free with no commitment. So as long as there's no conflict with class or athletics or an evening study hall, the other times are free and available to meet up.
Right, thank you.
You had something to say, Amy? Dr. Patel? Okay.
I can add a couple more details that, we're still asking everybody to really try to keep our community safe and healthy. So other things like not, using public transportation, just sort of thinking about the places where there might be some additional risk. And we may be asking that you dine in outdoor spaces only, where you can, or, you know, if you need to go in to grab something quickly inside, that you remain masked inside, even though the mandate for masking indoors has been loosened. We just want to, we'll continue to read some of the local context to
Did anybody else lose Dr. Patel? Okay, she'll come back,
Yes.
don't worry.
So, and what about, do visitors need to be vaccinated?
At this point, we are not requiring that visitors show proof of vaccination. But again, in order to keep the community safe, that's one of the reasons we're asking that visitors not go indoors, that they remain masked, they, you know, remain sort of safe in terms of staying outside. So at this point, that's not one of our protocols.
Right, okay, thank you.
Yeah. Jennifer, I think I saw your hand, and then Anita.
Yes, just want to ask whether all dorms are single rooms. Is there any shared rooms so that they have to wear a mask in the dorm during week 1?
It's a great question. And what we've done is we've ensured that while there are some doubles and triples, that those are 2-room doubles or 3-room triples, meaning every student will have their own separate space. So you will not need to wear a mask in your dorm room, because we were able to, one of the reasons we did what we call de-densifying our campus, we accepted about 150 fewer students than we normally do to accommodate the need for individual dorm room spaces. And then Anita, you had your hand up?
Yes, I was wondering, can you tell us about how the move-in day will look like? So how much time do they have to move in? How long does it usually take? Are visitors allowed into the dorms to help their kids move in and set up? Can you just talk about that a little bit?
Absolutely. So it will be a longer process than usual because of the testing. We're going to try to make it as efficient as possible, but you should probably budget about an hour to get through just the sort of arrival and registration process. You'll arrive. We're going to ask that you try to, so you'll park in the lot of our ice rink, the skating rink. Leave all of your stuff in the car, because you'll come back to the car, for those of you who are driving. When you enter our Snyder Center, which is where registration will be held, you'll be checked in, and then you'll immediately go visit the Sykes Wellness team, who will administer the COVID test. The results of that, and just waiting for that, like, that's a process. So that itself just takes at least half an hour. Once you've done the swab and are waiting for your results, at that point, you'll have the opportunity to engage with a few of our representatives to, like, get your t-shirt and, you know, find your way around, get your class schedule. We'll try to take advantage of that downtime, but there will be downtime, so prepare yourself. Assuming that you do get a negative test, then you can move on. You'll be given your dorm room key, and you can, if you are getting a vaccine, you can head to the vaccine location. If you're not getting a vaccine, you can go back to your car and then drive over to the dorm to unload. Once you're at the dorm, we're allowing 2 people to go in with the student to help unload. So, you know, if both parents have come, you know, you can sort of both support. If you have a large family, though, we ask that only 2 people go in at a time with the student, just for de-densifying purposes, and that you not hang out in the dorm, right? You sort of go in, get them moved in and get settled, and then try to get yourselves back outside. Enjoy the campus. We will have a campus tour, a self-guided tour set up, so you can go from building to building and scan a QR code and learn a little bit about what will happen in that location this summer. There will be some activities. You'll have the opportunity to get to know your house counselors, but we do ask that all families be gone and that students be on their own by 7 p.m., which is when our dorm meetings begin. So throughout the day, you can do sort of what you would like. You can, you know, stock them up at CVS and get all the stuff you need for the first week. But Beyond that, we do ask that you not hang out in those dorm room spaces or any indoor spaces.
So once the kids move in that day, are they allowed to leave campus after that, or that's when they have to start staying only on the campus? Like if we wanted just to go out for lunch before, the parents left or whatever.
Yeah, so that's a good question. So we're at this point, we are not going to require that you absolutely stay on campus with your child, but we do ask that if you are, heading down to Andover for lunch or something, that you are, again, following all of our protocols. You're not dining indoors, you're staying masked in spaces, etc. And
Okay.
we would far prefer, if it's possible, for you to do those things before you register. So we would just strongly encourage you to not take them back off campus, but we're not going to forbid it because we know some of you are going to be rushing right here, registering, and then may need to go to CVS and grab some stuff, which is fine.
Perfect. And last question, what is the laundry situation?
So there are two situations for laundry. One is you can sign up for a laundry service through ENR Laundry, and you should have received information about that. If not, you can email our office, and they come once a week. They pick up students' dirty laundry. They drop off clean laundry magically 2 days later. So that's one option. But the other option is there are laundry facilities in most of our dorms. Students will get access to a laundry card. So we will provide laundry cards to students for the duration of that modified quarantine. And we'll provide laundry, pods, the detergent pods, so that they can do their laundry for that 5-day period until they can get down to CVS to get their own detergent.
Okay, so there are washers and dryers in the dorms.
Yep.
Okay, great, thanks.
And I think I saw Mooley next, and then Allison. Uh-oh, you're muted.
Can you guys hear me now?
Yes.
Sorry about that. That should be the 2021 t-shirt. I'm on mute. Sorry about that. I don't know if this meeting is specifically only for remote students. I have day student questions. If it's a day student question, you could say, just let's defer this till another session. That's fine. But if this includes day students, can you give me an idea what it's like in terms of that first day for day students? And the second question is, do they have a cubby or a locker or some place where they can leave stuff rather than transport them back and forth all the time?
Yes, absolutely. So that's the easier question. Yes, day students receive a locker. In George Washington Hall, there's a day student area. And so they can stash their stuff. They can use that as a home base through the day. It does have air conditioning, so it's cool. So that's one easy answer. As far as registration day for day students, it's a little bit different feeling because you come, you register, you get tested, and then you go home. There isn't necessarily day student activity. In a typical year, we would have an on-campus meeting for all of the day students and their families. This year, we're not doing that. We'll do it remotely the day prior. The second day, though, the day of orientation day, which is June 30th, day students will be participating in our campus tours. They will participate in all the orientation activities as a group. So they'll have an opportunity to get to know one another. And then they'll also do some facilitated team building and other getting to know you activities. So there will be things on what is essentially day 2 of the program, but really day 1 of the experience overall. Does that answer your questions?
It did. I think my wife may have another one though. So I'll let her jump in.
We were exploring having him bring his bike. We were just wondering, talking through, like what would he do for his days? Because we understand, it's like an 8 a.m. drop off, 8 p.m. pickup, So like how, like for those times when there might be downtime for students who go back to their dorms, we wanted to get a better sense of what his options would be and whether he could bring a bike, whether he could, if there are I imagine there are bike racks on campus. Yeah.
Plenty. Absolutely. I will say during closed campus, so that initial modified quarantine period, we are asking day students to abide by the same closed campus during the day. So not to like walk down to downtown Andover and then back. Just feels like you're rubbing it in everyone's face if you do that. So after that, though, he's welcome to go in and out of downtown and, walk down. Welcome to ride his bike anywhere around campus. It's a very bike friendly campus. So he does have to wear a helmet. It's important. But the other things that students can do during their downtime, there really actually isn't as much as you would think. They go straight class all morning, then lunch, then sports. After sports, they might be taking the SSAT prep class, but if they're not, that's some downtime. They can be in the library, start doing some work. They could go to the gym. They could sign up to go to the Addison. They could hang out on the quad, which most of our kids end up doing, and just play Frisbee and listen to music. And then, head to their afternoon meeting with their group to do some studying. And then they go to dinner, and then they go to evening study sessions, and then they're done. So it's a pretty scheduled day.
Thank you.
Thanks so much.
All right, I saw Allison and then Don.
I have a couple of quick questions. Thank you. I assume families don't need to be tested when we arrive. We just go into the dorms to drop them off with our masks on.
Correct.
Okay. And then are there activities that day that day of drop off to get tours of the campus or anything else?
So in the past, yes, during non-COVID times, we do offer those. This year, we're not. So we're doing self-guided tours with sort of self-guided video pieces. And house counselors will have activities for students in the dorm to do, but we're not doing any facilitated full group activities.
Are the lower, okay, thanks. Are the lower school institute kids allowed to do non-contact food delivery?
Yep.
And the wellness center, is there a pool that they have access to in their downtime?
A pool?
Yeah.
So in our athletic facilities, we do have a pool. The pool hours, though, are pretty scheduled and structured. So there may be open swim. And if so, it would be designated during certain times. There's a swimming activity. So if students signed up for swimming during their afternoon activities, then they can do that. But our lifeguarding team is small, and so it's really only available for small amounts of time during the day.
And my last question, thank you, is if we need to send them things, do you have an address where we can send them stuff?
Yep, 180 Main Street. So the main Phillips Academy address, you put the student's name, you put their, you say summer session, you put their dorm, and then it gets delivered actually right to the dorm. All right, so Don, I think, was next.
All right, I'm Diana, Don's wife. I had two questions. The first is there a packing list that was sent or is going to be sent?
Yes, there's a packing list on our website in the For Admitted Students page. And yes, I will put I'm horrible at multitasking, but I will put the address in the chat.
Great.
I can think about it.
Oh. And if we are flying into Logan and then taking a cab with all the luggage and stuff, the way you described check-in, it sounds hard to kind of lug the luggage around. So what's your suggestion for people flying in?
It's a good question. So we actually have a drop-off area for rideshare and drop-off that's much closer to the Snyder Center. And so you can come, there's a luggage drop where you can leave your luggage under supervision and then go in and complete the registration and then come back out.
Okay, thank you.
So I'm trying to think, Adam may have been next and been waiting, and then maybe Al, I'm losing track, but Adam, your turn.
Hi, this is Adam, but my wife Lisa's going to speak on my behalf.
Well, I'm going to speak on my own behalf. Thank you. Hi. So a couple questions. Are we going to get the dorm room information ahead of registration day or only at registration day?
You only get it at registration. So it will be in your registration packet when you arrive, but we don't send it out in advance.
Okay. Are there ATM machines on campus for the kids?
Yes.
There are. And then just one more thing, you had mentioned there were 2 options for laundry service. And if we had signed up for the once a week laundry service, we should have received an email already. Who would that have come from?
So you signed up at the time of your enrollment. So it was part of your enrollment agreement. And if you didn't, and now you're reconsidering that, you'd like to add it, just email our main address, summer@andover.edu. Say, I'd like to add laundry service, and they'll put you in touch with E&R Laundry, which is our vendor.
Okay, I think we did actually do that at the time that we signed up. So we shouldn't have received anything further about it then. It's just something we did that one time when we.
You should have received something further. E&R will send they usually send a confirmation.
Okay.
So, and the way to check is simply just to email our office again. That's sort of the answer to everything. It's not located anywhere on the parent portal because it's an outside vendor. So you do have to just email our office and find out.
And one last question for you. What is the best way to contact, I guess, the summer staff if there is any sort of issue? Is it through email or by phone?
Yep, you can do either. Because our staff actually is still partially working remotely, email is always a good option. But beginning on the 21st, our office will be staffed, and you can contact the main line at any point. So.
Okay, great. Thanks very much.
Yeah. And then I've lost track of who is next. I'm sorry. I see Yunhua and I don't know who else, Jillian. So Yunhua.
Yeah, hi. I had a question about about the ATM, and I was going to actually find a credit card for my son. Is that possible to use a credit card on campus and everywhere else? Because I wasn't sure if I gave him cash, whether there would be a safe in the room or something. So that's my first question.
Yep. So there's nothing that students need money for on campus, just to be clear. So anything that they would need money for would be in the town of Andover, or if they went on a field trip, something outside of the school, everything and you could get away with not bringing any money all summer long. It's completely fine. But for those who want something else, yes, a credit card is certainly feasible, particularly if you think they're going to do contactless food deliveries, if they might need to make a run down to CVS, those kinds of things. But so there's that. And then we do, though, offer in our main Cooley House office, which is the hub of summer session, we do have a safe. And so students can come and they can sign in to put things in the safe for safekeeping. We encourage kids to put their passports in the safe, any cash, etc., just because we don't like them traveling around with it.
Okay, great. Because it's 5 weeks, and if there's a in the rooms, for example, if the students are expected to clean their own rooms, how that was going to work. So that's my second question. And sorry, and then just to tag on for the third question, I'm going to drive up from and 3 to get to you guys. Does the session really begin at lunchtime? So if we arrive just before lunch, the student could have lunch there. I don't know if parents can too, or if we're supposed to expect to leave, and if there's a particular schedule until things actually happen that day, or perhaps the next day. So those are my last 2 questions. Thank you.
All right, so I definitely caught the cleaning one. I missed the other one. You were cutting in and out a little bit, but I think I got it. So for cleaning, children have to clean their rooms. Yes, that is their job. No one is there to clean up after them. We do have a custodial team who does cleaning of the common facility, in particular the bathroom, right? So, but students are going to have chores. Their house counseling team will assign them different duties, from taking out the trash to cleaning the shared fridge to, taking care of their space. So they will have to clean their own rooms. I actually do weekly reminders to change your sheets. I don't think they ever change them weekly, but maybe once during the session would be a win. So, encourage them to do that. And then as for, I think your other question was about registration and arrival day and what you can do as a family and whether you can eat. Pereski Commons will be open for meal pickup families are included in that. So if you wanted to do a grab and go meal on Wednesday, you can. But again, there's no formal programming this year on registration day, just due to the constraints and our sort of risk mitigation practices.
Right. So I'm sorry, just to tag on with that, excuse me, I know there are other questions, but so when do the parents leave and when does the formal program begin? Sorry, that was what my question.
So 7 p.m. is when all families need to leave. And then that's when dorm meetings start, because students arrive throughout the day. So we don't have any other programming earlier. I am keeping an eye on some of the chat questions, and I want to answer some of the easy ones. No, the dorms are not air conditioned. Yes, the classrooms are. So most of our classrooms have air conditioning, either building level air conditioning, or we bring in air conditioning units. There are lots of air conditioned spaces like the library and the dining hall, but no, the rooms are not air conditioned and they are hot. So we provide fans. Every student's room will have a box fan, at least one, maybe more. Students' rooms also have a mini fridge. And when I say mini fridge, I mean very mini. It's not like a regular size mini fridge. It's like a mini fridge, but it's enough to keep a few things. They'll also be provided with a sort of power strip and trying to think what else. Fan, power strip, mini fridge. Those are the big ones. So, and yes, there are kitchens in the dorm building, common room kitchens. So I'm trying to go to other questions that I have not answered. So Jillian, you had a question?
Hi everybody. Is there a way for the kids to connect before they come?
So that's a really good question. And so what we have done in the past is enable, so some teachers will start sort of class email groups and chats, but that's all on the teacher. So at a program level, we do have the sort of kickoff meeting. We'll have a lower school institute family meeting, and that's for students and families. And then we have an upper school family meeting for students and families. And we plan to do some breakout activities, let kids get to know one another in those. But beforehand, there's not as much. We don't do like Facebook groups or social media connections. So you get on campus and you meet your dorm mates at that point. Irene, you have a question?
I heard there is a packing list, but can I know where I can get the list?
Yep, the packing list. So it's on the page of the website that's titled for admitted students. And so if you go to the on-campus programs and then you go to for admitted students, there's a link there.
Okay, so it's just Andover website, main website. Okay.
The summer website. So andover.edu/summer. And again, if I can multitask well, I will put it in the chat.
Yes, please. Thank you.
And then I saw David.
Hi there. So my question is, and I saw somebody else ask this in the chat, will the kids be getting their email addresses ahead of time? And the second question is, in terms of supplies for individual classes, will they receive some sort of supply list for classes before we come so we can purchase items? Thanks.
Yep. So so the first question, so the supply list, so lower school institute students should have already received an email from their teachers, and it should have outlined any specific supplies. For the most part, we don't require specific supplies. We will provide whatever students need. The exception being, we do ask that students bring a device, a laptop or a tablet, something to work on. And there may be some courses that require specialized software. So, the digital photography course or the intensive film workshop course may have specialized software to download. If students don't have the right kind of machine, they can use the machines in our computer center. So for the most part, basic school supplies are what you need. You need notebook paper and binders and pens, and if you're taking a math course, a calculator, but that's about it. And then tell me the other question again.
So like just about the email address, if they get that ahead of time, but also like in terms of, you know, a studio art class or something, all of the art supplies and all of that would be provided.
Correct. Yep. We will provide
Okay.
it. And as for the email address, the students will not get it ahead of time. They'll get it upon arrival. And so at that point, when you arrive on campus, in your registration folder will be the email information, the login and password. And then during some of that downtime that I was talking about, one of the tasks for all students is going to be to set up your email and change your password and, you know, sort of go through that process. So I'm trying to make sure that I distribute the questions to folks who have not asked. So May.
Hi. So I was wondering, I know on the...
Can you hear me?
Yes, now I can.
Oh, okay. I know when we signed up, we were asked if we wanted a roommate. So I was wondering if we got to campus and we didn't have a roommate, is there a way that we would be able to like try to get one?
Yeah, it's a very good question. We don't do a lot of room changes, except in the case of like real problems in terms of like there's a massive allergy and that one person has and somebody else, you know, constantly eats nuts and like can't stop. So we really don't do room change requests. We certainly would work with you if there was a concern. But we hope that you'll just be happy with what you get as best you can. So.
One more, if we did have a roommate, is there a way we could meet them like in advance?
Again,
like email?
I would love to facilitate that. The things continue to change in terms of our room assignments, basically right up until the day before arrival. And so what we don't want to do is put you in touch with somebody and then have to change that housing assignment. We've done that in the past. It does not go well. People are disappointed. And so rather than do that, we just have you meet when you arrive, and your house counselors will do as much as possible in terms of getting to know you activities.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. I know that other people have had their hands up for a while, but I'm trying to jump to folks with new hands. So Melissa?
It was just piggybacking on the roommate question. So they're all getting single rooms in theory, like they'll be sleeping alone. So when you're saying roommate, what does that mean exactly?
So it means a connected, so a 2-room double. So they might share an entrance and
yeah,
walk in and there's one room and another room.
Okay. I don't know what I put on there now that I think about it, because I thought they were all singles. So is that something I can check with the office and see what I did?
Sure.
Doesn't matter.
Check on the portal. Sure.
Oh, okay. That's fine. Okay. Thanks.
Okay. All right. And let's see, Jennifer, I think you've had your hand up for a while.
Yes, thank you. So just curious that Alice signed up for a piano music class, and for her daily practice for an instrument that she's not able to bring to the campus. Is there somewhere that she can practice, and does she have to sign up?
Yes, good questions. So we do have practice rooms in our music building. The students do have to sign up when they go in, but they don't have to sign up ahead of time. They just go in and there's a sign up right outside so they can go in and use the practice rooms.
Thank you.
Yeah. Let's see, Don?
I'm sorry, I forgot to remove my hand.
Sorry. Oh no, that's good. That's great. All right, Adam?
Hi. My question relates to trips to Boston. Assuming that can go forward, what might those look like?
So it depends on the program that the student's in. The sort of degree of supervision varies, but sort of typically these are afternoon visits. So students catch the bus Saturday afternoon after classes and after lunch. Go down, they have the afternoon in Boston. So usually the bus will drop them off at Faneuil Hall. They'll have 2 hours or so to walk around, shop, explore, then they have to be back at the bus, and then the bus takes them back. That's for the upper school students who have a little bit more freedom and flexibility. With the lower school, they're more tightly chaperoned. They usually have to explore in groups with their chaperone. But there are some also that sometimes where they'll say, take your buddy and you can go and then just meet back here at X time.
Sure. Now, what would happen if a student missed a bus back to campus?
Oh, if that certainly has happened. So our buses don't leave without the students. So that's our protocol. So they're not going to miss the bus. The whole bus is going to wait for them while we track them down, which does not make many people happy on the bus. So they're not very popular with their friends when that happens. But, in case of an emergency, we have protocols where, we have multiple chaperones. One would remain, contact the local authorities, a dean would go down and work with them to find the student. It's always been that the student is half an hour late and sidetracked in a shopping mall somewhere, but we have those processes in case we need to.
Right. And I'm sorry, you said chaperone. So when they take the bus, this is for an upper school student, they can go around unchaperoned? Is that how?
Yep. So the chaperones are there, they stay in the central area, the kids can sort of go off and about wherever they can in walking distance because they can't take public transportation. And then they have to meet back at the bus, meet the chaperone at a certain location.
Okay, great.
Yep. Let's see, Anita.
Yes, hi, thank you. Question, can you comment on the student body for the upper school in terms of like how many kids are in the cohort? Is it 50-50 boy, girl?
Yes, I can. I'm racking my brain because I know the overall demographics, but not the upper school. But upper school has roughly 240-ish students this year, slightly more girls than boys. So we have 7 upper school dorms. 4 of them are girls dorms, 3 are boys dorms. And yeah, we have fewer international students as might be expected. So far more domestic students than usual. Far fewer international students are coming to campus because of travel restrictions and concerns. And as always, we have a sort of bigger population in the 9th and 10th grade than we do in the 11th and 12th grade, which is pretty typical.
Okay, thanks. And another question, can you describe what the contact tracing is going to look like for a student who's already been fully vaccinated?
I'm going to let Dr. Patel take this one while I try to answer some of the questions in the chat. So Dr. Patel.
Yeah, so we will be following what state and federal guidelines have been indicating in terms of the evolution. So at this point, a fully vaccinated individual who is within 6 feet for 15 or more minutes of somebody who tests positive, if they're fully vaccinated, they do not need to quarantine. So another plug for vaccines, they are a game changer in a lot of ways. They will need to monitor themselves anyway for symptoms, and if they have symptoms, then they will need to potentially quarantine. So if they are free of symptoms, fully vaccinated, they won't have to quarantine.
Okay, that's great. Thank you.
That was enough time for me to answer one person in the direct messages, so I'm sorry. May, you had a question?
Yes. What's the policy for students using the electronic stuff like phone, iPad, and the laptop?
So in terms of policy, probably the closest thing we have to any sort of restrictions are that we do shut the internet off at midnight. So in an effort to encourage students to stop, disconnect, and go to sleep, we do turn off the Wi-Fi. In the age of data, that's sort of silly, we recognize, but it's a statement. So we don't monitor students' device usage. So this is an opportunity for them to be independent and autonomous and learn what it's like to start to monitor their own time. And so, certainly the house counselors will step in if they think a student is spending a lot of time alone in their room, seems to be playing a lot of video games or constantly on the phone talking to folks back home, because then they're not making the most of the summer experience. And usually that'll just result in sort of a meeting, a check-in, maybe a meeting with the deans, maybe some intentional friend pairings with the goal of getting kids out and about and off their technology, but we don't have any formal restrictions.
Thank you. Is there any class require students to bring their own laptop?
Yes, we ask actually all this year because of the potential for remote learning, because we never know if we are going to have some positives and we have to go virtual. We do ask all students to bring some sort of device, whether it's a laptop or an iPad, another tablet, something that they can learn on in the case of virtual learning.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And I'm going to look at the message, the chat. I'm sorry, so I'm going to try to catch up with some of the questions that I've seen, and I'll just read them out loud to as much as I can. So I think I've addressed the dorm and classroom air conditioning ones. Sorry, dorms no, classes yes. Field trips, computers, Andover email. Do the kids need quarters for laundry? No, our machines do not operate with quarters. They have a card. And so you then load money onto that card. So that's how it will happen for kids. They can load cash onto the card or credit card. Can students bring a fan? Yes, absolutely. And we will provide fans, as many fans as possible, have lots of fans. Will sports equipment be provided for students? Yes, students can take equipment out of our equipment room. But I would encourage students, if they have signed up for a particular sport, so if you have a tennis racket and you signed up for tennis, you should bring the tennis racket. If you signed up for soccer, you should bring cleats. You should plan to come equipped for the sport that you signed up for. Don't necessarily expect that we will have the equipment for you. Specialized equipment though, like rackets for tennis and squash, certainly students can sign those out from the equipment room. Pillows and sheets are provided. So we provide a full bag of linens. So mattress pad, sheets, pillowcase, pillows, towels, everything that students will need for their time here. Then college visits. So those of you who signed up for college counseling should know that most colleges are not accepting visitors on their campuses. And so we will still offer college counseling. We have our speaker series, which happens 4 or 5 times a week. And we've also arranged virtual visits. So specialized, customized visits with particular universities that our college counselor and the director of admissions at that university have arranged. So students will be able to get some sort of opportunity to connect with admissions reps, but it won't be the same. And we will still offer our college fair. So 75+ colleges will be offering the opportunity to go into Zoom rooms with them on a particular evening. So again, it's not the in-person experience, but we are trying to offer something. I had a question about the LSI schedule. So if you were the person who asked about the LSI class schedule, students in LSI take a single interdisciplinary course. Often that is split into 2 class blocks. So a first period and or class block 1 and a class block 2. So a good example of this is charting the natural world, which is marine biology and math. So in class block 1, some students will go to marine bio, and then in class block 2, they'll go to math and sort of move through those classes. It's a single interdisciplinary course, so they're connected, but they're taking what feels like 2 separate courses themselves, 2 different subjects. Question about any other dates for second dose besides July 20th. So Dr. Patel, right now we're planning on only July 20th. Is that correct?
Yeah. That's 3 weeks from registration day. I'm going to make one exception to this. If somebody needs dose 2 and then needs 2 weeks to elapse before they can travel internationally, that's typically going to be the restriction. We'll make individual arrangements, but that would mean you would have had to receive dose 1 earlier. Because right now, dose 2, the way it's scheduled, July 20th, is going to be 2 days before. You'll be 2 days short in terms of that 2-week period. But right now we're not planning to have any other dates other than the registration day and then July 20th, unless there are international travel exceptions that we need to try to figure out together.
Great, thanks. I'm making my way through more of these questions. Some questions about LSI. How many dorm buildings are there for lower school? So for lower school, we actually only have 4 dorms. So 2 boys dorms, 2 girls dorms. And then some questions also about afternoon activities and SSAT prep and how that time works. Each student has sort of an individualized schedule depending on their program. Some students take multiple optional classes, so they might take SSAT as well as music. In the upper school, they might take essential study skills as well as ACT prep. And so each student will receive a specialized schedule. For lower school students, most students so they have afternoon activities from 1 to 2 p.m. And then most students take their SSAT prep class from 2:30 to 3:30. That's not every single student, but that's most of them. And in terms of the number of LSI students that we expect this summer, I think we are at about 170, 100, yeah, between 150 and 170. I have to look. Again, my brain is full of lots of information, but not that off the top of my head. And I think I've hit most of the questions, and it is 8:02, so we are like quite close to time. I will say, if you have other questions, please just email us. Certainly, particularly if you have questions about the COVID protocols and the change, and if you have any concerns, just let us know. But I think we hope that this feels like a really positive change for you all, that you're excited about this, just as excited as we are, and just, please know that we will do everything we can to keep your child safe and make this a wonderful, wonderful summer. So we're really looking forward to meeting everybody. I will save and post this on our website probably within the next day or so, but just reach out to our email if you have further questions. So, and I see lots of people trying to connect in the chat. So, I'll let you private message each other for a little bit and not shut things down so that you can share contact info if you want to connect. Okay. All right. Thank you all. Thank you, Dr. Patel, so much for joining us tonight. All right. Bye, everyone.